Oos. All right, so today I was doing a Zoom interview, and during the interview, he had just told me, I don't know if you saw, Sensei, but KSI has picked King Kenny to win the fight August 27th, and I didn't get a chance to see it at the time, so we're going to watch it together, and then I'll give you my opinion. This is actually great timing by JJ because later today, actually, I'm going to be doing my face-off with Kenny, so this should be a good topic as well.
King Kenny versus Face Sensei. This is a big fucking fight. Let's go. Let's look at King Kenny first. I've actually sparred both of them, King Kenny and Face Sensei. Maybe I didn't fight Face Sensei at his best, but I definitely fought King Kenny at close to his best. I'm sure
All right, so he's obviously referring to our last spar. He was prepping for KSI Logan Paul. Second one. It was the second. And that's the one he got the better of me. He was the sharpest he had ever been at that time. Obviously, in all of our spars, I was never preparing for a fight. I was never like in fight shape. But when he sparred Kenny was in shape, right?
he's improved even more. Yeah, we got a bit of training here with Daly. Getting them abs working. Okay, good to see them working. All right, a little bit of show star. I think what King Kenny struggled to do here was jab. Didn't jab enough, I don't think. I think he definitely...
And it's difficult to jab when someone's taller than you. When you know they have the reach advantage, difficult just to step out there. You don't want to just throw a jab and get hit. So I don't know if it was just being tentative, but more trying to figure out the range with temper.
He should have been a bit more firm with his will. It was kind of jabbed and then Face temper just attacked instantly, and I think Kenny kind of struggled with that. But bro, I mean, Kenny did swing well as well, bro. Like, look at these bangs, these hooks. Temper ate some shots, bro. But then Temper was just good at being able to come back something nice. So with this jab, he leaned.
Tommy did a good job of countering, allowing Kenny to extend himself, making Kenny miss, leaving himself open, and then quick counters. When you're 6'4", seems like the right thing to do. When it comes to counter punching or punching in the pocket, you may have to take one to give one, right? To give two or something to win the trade, especially when somebody's taller, right? You got to be willing to take a couple of shots to find your range and to land combinations that are going to be effective.
Opinion. Obviously, I imagine a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck do I know? But look, you'll see August 27th how much I fucking know. And the thing with Kenny as well, he's a hard worker, bro. You know, he puts his all into it. I know he's training hard for this fight. If he beats Sensei, bruh, the rematch is there. Like against Temper. If Temper beats Blueface, that's a huge fight.
Very
Personally,
true. Very true.
I think that could be an upset. I love Sensei, man, but it's all with Sensei. It's all about his mindset. I don't know, when it comes to fights, he sometimes doesn't have that killer mindset. Sometimes I think
So this is what I was talking about in my video yesterday. I think, right, the killer mindset. I think it's because of the spars, not just with him, but with other people. Again, my demeanor. I know he was there for my kickboxing fight in Dubai. Now, that was my pro kickboxing debut. A kickboxing fight is very different than a boxing fight, number one. And number two, my opponent wasn't new at kickboxing. When you compare us as fighters between me and my opponent, he was more experienced. Technically, he was better. He was 4-0 as a professional at the time. He had just won 2 professional fights that year. He was ranked, I believe, number 3 as an amateur in Greece. My pro debut was against a guy who was undefeated, who was beat guys, a bunch of guys, right, in kickboxing. And he was in a kickboxing gym, like very good to the sport. So I actually went in knowing that I would be the underdog in terms of, you know, our skill set. I might have been a better athlete when it came to like speed or power, like in terms of being a more dynamic martial artist. That would have been my only advantage. And it wasn't like I didn't have the killer instinct. You know, I had the will to deal with the adversity. It was my first time ever getting knocked down. He had caught me. I got kicked in the head that fight, right? He was landing combinations. He could read me like a book. He had a lot of experience, and it was a great learning experience for me. But it wasn't like I was being nice. And other fights, same thing. I didn't really lack killer instinct. Actually, in my other MMA fight, I was too aggressive, and that allowed my opponent to use his wrestling against me. I think sometimes, you know, when you look at it, or maybe the spars and my demeanor make it seem like that. But yeah, that's just my take on it.
can be a bit too nice in the ring. Like, look, yeah, obviously technique is there, bro. He's beautiful, like, yeah, it's, bro, it's nice. Look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. Like, he knows how to box, obviously. Him on the pads. Bro, look.
And that is Coach Tank. So, little context. That was the the night before fighting PJ. I can't believe they found that. That was pretty funny. Throwing heat, haymakers for fun.
Movement, beautiful. Yeah, we saw what he did to Overflow. Like, he just pieced him up like it was nothing. But this was the last time we saw him fight, and this was how many years ago? So I don't know. Kenny's been fresh. You know, Kenny last fought a few months ago. Sensei hasn't fought in a while. I don't know how he's gonna do on the big stage. Obviously, technically.
That I agree with. It has been a while in terms of the activity, but I have competed overall more. Right, so has been a few years, but I competed for a longer period of time in comparison to when I haven't competed. That makes sense. It was a couple years ago, but I also competed when I was 19. I might have healed faster back then because I was younger, right? Those little things. But in terms of my martial arts IQ and my skill, those things improve because I am not training to fight, but I'm always improving as a martial artist, not necessarily as a boxer per se, technically, but as a martial artist. Yes, 100%. And with the stage factor, yes, there's a stage factor. You're fighting in a crowd. I've already fought. I love fighting in the UK. That was really awesome. Nothing compares to getting in a cage with somebody in an MMA fight, regardless of whether you're in front of the big lights or not in the big lights. You know, I fought in Dubai. I've competed locally, but the competition changes when you have boxing gloves on, or if you don't have boxing gloves, you got 4-ounce gloves. And you know someone can take you down and bury you into the mat. So those things are more challenging. So I'm not really nervous about the stage, right? I'm just very focused on what I have to do in terms of the sport. I know what sport I'm doing. I know it's boxing. And I'm just focused on performing and executing what I want to do there. The big stage definitely won't have an effect on me there. I can totally understand where he's coming from in terms of like ring rust, for sure.
Stage, obviously, technically, he's going to be better than Kenny. I think that's without a doubt. Yeah, look at this. Beautiful. Without a doubt, he's going to be technically better. I think Kenny wants it more, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why I think Kenny's going to beat Sensei. And don't make him comfortable. I think Sensei would struggle, man. If you go at Sensei's pace, Sensei will win. If Kenny goes at a fast pace, I think Kenny's going to win. I probably should say, like, what I think, if it's going to be a knockout.
So I think he's saying, you know, the fast pace make me uncomfortable. And obviously there was the Gibbs sparring there. And if you pressure me. With my kickboxing fight, my opponent was able to pressure me, but he was also a better kickboxer. So it wasn't just the pressure. It was the fact that he had more experience and he was just technically better. So his reads were better. His instincts were better. His defense was better. That made a big difference. The fact that his defense was better was huge. But here, it seems like he may be saying that my conditioning, because Kenny wants it more. So if he's able just to put that pressure like Gibb did in the sparring, but with Gibb, that was sparring and I wasn't in shape, right? So and Gibb knows that we know that Gibb uses his cardio as a weapon, but I went in there knowing those 6 rounds are going to be brutal because I was not training at all. But if cardio is not a concern for me, if there's no cardio concern, 4 rounds is going to be not difficult for me to do, and I'm going to be able to maintain any pace. JJ did acknowledge that technically he assumes that, or he feels like technically I'm going to be better. I would assume so. Kenny has been doing boxing in a vacuum more so than me recently. Obviously, with my experience, that will give me an edge and that will help me there. I know Daly's doing a good job making sure Kenny's prepared for anything. But for the viewers out here, the things that you've seen in sparring won't relay over to competition. My kickboxing fights that I had were 3 rounds, and I went the distance, all 3, and so it's not like I can't go the distance in competition or anything like that. That's been an issue. So when it comes to me competing, I'll be ready.